What do you think when a teacher tells their students that they're allowed to take notes on their computer? Most students with a computer would get excited, open up their MacBook Air, and open up Google Docs. And while they're taking their notes and drift into boredom, they open up an episode of The Office on Netflix or watch a YouTube video just to kill time. Some students purposely choose to take notes on pen and paper to avoid this distraction. However, there are a lot more advantages to taking notes on pencil and paper than you might think. Taking notes on a computer allows you to do things such as write faster, write more eligible, and insert and edit notes easier. However, a study done by Pam A. Mueller of Princeton University and Daniel M. Oppenheimer of the University of California showed that when you take notes by hand, your brain processes and retains the information better. This means that when you take notes by hand rather than computer, your brain understands and remembers the information you learn better. Computer taking notes has a lot of advantages, especially when it comes to being able to upload, share, and edit taking notes, especially with the use of the internet. And computer taking notes is not necessarily a bad way to take notes. But today I'm going to talk to you about some of the disadvantages of computer taking notes, advantages of handwritten notes, and why handwritten notes are better. At the end of the speech, I would implore you to consider to take your future notes in handwritten form. Taking notes on a computer has a lot of advantages, as I said earlier, but it also has a lot of disadvantages as well. The first and primary disadvantage is something that most college students have experienced and something I've already talked about a little bit, which is drifting off into the rabbit hole that is the internet. I've definitely been in class where I've had my screen split in two with me taking notes on the left side and me watching a movie on Netflix on the right side. It's easy enough to get distracted and open up a browser to click on one of your recent search histories and then just start going away and forget about class all completely. It's especially easy to do so in the pandemic that we are experiencing, where most of school is taken online with assignments, tests, quizzes, and even classes being online. It makes sense then to take notes on the computer when the rest of school is taken on your computer already. A study done by Vital Source Technologies, an educational technology company, stated that 78% of students use a digital device to read course material, and that was in 2015. However, the study done by Mueller and Oppenheimer showed that students who take notes by computer tend to transcribe the lecture word for word, as they can write or type faster than they can write, while students who write their notes have to transcribe less, which forces their brain to process and absorb the information better. Students that transcribe word for word using a computer are not absorbing the information and instead just writing it all down. These students that write it all down on a computer are not absorbing and actually understanding and processing the information. They're just copying what they hear and what they see onto the computer. The study was also curious to see if students who took notes on a computer would do better on tests because it had more notes to review and look back at. However, the study actually showed that students who handwrote notes still performed better on tests, which they suggest is due to the fact that they retain the information better. Mueller and Oppenheimer stated that, or suggested that, longhand notes may have superior external storage as well as superior encoding functions. Some of the advantages of taking notes on a computer are actually the advantage of handwritten notes. As I said earlier, students that take notes on a computer tend to transcribe word for word. Since handwritten notes take longer to write, students, or rather their brain, must be more selective and careful to choose what words they include and don't include. This natural selectiveness forces the brain to process the information more. This is because the brain has to be more conscious about what's important and relative to keep in and not keep in. In short, handwritten notes forces the students to be more engaged with the topic at hand and what's being discussed. The disadvantage of speed that handwritten notes has is actually the reason why this method allows your brain to retain and understand the information better. Unknowingly, your brain pays more attention at the subject at hand when you handwrite the notes compared to take them on a laptop. While it's still possible to get distracted when using handwritten notes or another form, I know I have a problem to check my phone every time I feel a buzz in my pocket. It's still much harder compared to when using a laptop for notes, as the internet is just one click away. When you have no possibility of a distraction and your brain knows that, it naturally pays more attention than if it does have the possibility, such as using a computer to take notes on. Another advantage of handwriting notes when it comes to information retainment is muscle memory. The Falcon Press stated that hand taking notes helps students remember the information better due to muscle memory in the body, which is your body remembering what it has done previously. So just by handwriting notes, your body remembers the words and topics that it wrote about, compared to computer taking notes where you kind of go in autopilot mode and don't remember what you wrote about, just that you did write. Writing down notes by hand helps both for studying and remembering information and doing better on tests. This is something that every college student should be jumping to hear. Knowing what you do now, would you still pull out your MacBook if your professor told you were allowed to for note taking? Since both methods, handwriting and computer, have disadvantages and advantages, it can be pretty tough to decide which one to go with. While typing allows you to write more information down and edit more, writing allows you to remember and process the information better. A lot of college students would like to believe that more is better and that more would mean better grades. However, the opposite can be quite true when it comes to note taking. And if you really want to see the results for yourself, I would suggest you experiment with your own classes and take half them on a computer and the other half on pen and paper. I think you'd be really surprised to see the results.